great clarity in that 15 minutes. But,
Not in the interim that you referred to, but the good news is, Joey, there's no fracture. It's a bit puffy on the inside of his left ankle. We're going to give that 24 to 48 hours just for the swelling to go down, and if we need to get a picture of it, we will. Obviously, he's had an X-ray and been cleared of a fracture, so that's a good news on Joey. We don't have anyone else who's of major concern. First game of the season. There's a few lung injuries, guys who couldn't get enough oxygen in. And one particularly that Reece suffered when he got hit quite hard after giving a scoring pass that he didn't really get a good look at, but Joey Carberry certainly enjoyed the end of it. So we're hopefully relatively unscathed, but Joey obviously will take 24 to 48 hours to know for sure.
Devin Toner, ironically, was hobbling off when Sean Klein came back from his blood bin.
Yeah.
Was that an ankle related? Or?
Yeah. He just rolled it. To be honest, as the more he was on it, the more he was walking it off. And certainly in the changing room now, he's walking around without a limp. So I would predict that he will be fine.
Joe, could you just comment on Sean Klein, given that he's a specialist tight head scrummager, and that's something which has traditionally been something that you've liked in your teams often?
I thought Jean acquitted himself really well. Our scrum was very good in the first half. I think we probably had 4 scrums and got penalties off them on the back of some really good power that we put through it. I thought around the pitch his work rate was excellent. A couple of really good impact tackles that certainly stopped Italian momentum when he got involved. He's a big man, Jean, at about, pretty close to 6'7", 6'8" in height, but also about 120 kgs in size. So, as you said, he is your genuine stock standard tight head lock who gets through a lot of work in the tight. And I thought he defended well, as I said. So, it was good. It was a good starting point for him, I think.
Was Jack McGrath tactical at half time? What you're thinking of the 5 props or situational?
Yeah, I'm not sure about my thinking, but it was tactical, definitely. We were really happy with Jack's first half, to be honest. Again, he got off the line, made some good impact tackles. And Jack, for us, is very good around our attacking breakdown as well. But we wanted to shift Andrew Porter across and give him 20 minutes there because, the reality is in the World Cup, you're going to have at least one prop who can play either side, potentially maybe even 2. John Ryan has played either side in the past. Finlay Beelum has played either side. So those 3 would probably be the guys who would cover that role, and then the others would be more specialists, the likes of Ken, Jack, and Dave Kilcoyne on the loose head, and Tig on the tight head.
Joe, were you happy with the way you kept the ball alive a few times for a few of those tries, the offloads and passing with a lot slicker in the carrying 22?
Yeah, I think we'd like to be able to play with enough variation that we can challenge teams in close or with a little bit of width. And as I said, I thought Reece's timing and accuracy, Joey had to reach back for it a fraction, but he's a nicely skilled player and did that really well. I thought the variation in our kicking game in the first half allowed us to keep the pressure down their end or to get the ball back, as Andrew Conway did really well. And Joey's little cross kick for Dave Carney to get into big space in behind and put the ball through, and then Gary Ringrose destroyed the ruck and we got that 5-metre scrum, and that's it's a great way to build pressure where opponents aren't really sure how you're going to attack them.
So do you think Chris Farrell made a case for somebody who can play both 12 and 13?
Yeah, I think he took a step toward it. It's something that we know that all 3 of the other centres can do. Gary Ringrose started his first test as a 12, and coming off the bench when Robbie Henshaw got injured. He shifted into 12, so he's a guy who can play 12 as lean as he is. Bundy obviously has played a lot of 12 for us, and Robbie Henshaw has played a lot of 12. And at the same time, those three players can play at 13. So it's something that we want to make sure the 3 or 4 centres, depending on how we balance things up, with potentially one of those centres being able to play on the wing. I know it's a while since Gary's done it, but he played a lot of wing for Blackrock. So, I think it's just trying to keep our options open a little bit at this stage so that we can get the best 31 away. To leave these shores on September 11, which is, a month away, almost exactly.
How pleased were you, Joe, with Joey's performance for the 50 minutes he was on the pitch?
Yeah, I was really happy with Joey's performance. I thought defensively he got himself into the right places, and that's a challenge sometimes. I thought he ran the game really well. Obviously, the variety in his kicking game, his passing game, and he is a dangerous runner with the ball. Obviously, he finished the try with a nice carry on a change-up with a good pass from Reece, but he almost got through the line a couple of times. So he presents himself as a threat really well, but he links well. So, I thought as a package, Joey's game was really tidy.
He offers you something very different, though, doesn't he, as an attacking 10? Like Johnny, you're very different, but it can change what you can do with it.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the same player as Johnny, and he's still building his game. Unfortunately he had a few injuries this year, which didn't allow him that real continuity that he was looking for in playing at 10 where he wants to play. For example, we had a 5 metre scrum and we went the short side, and he just tried to kind of probably overplay that kicking game when there wasn't space to get the ball through so close to the line. So he'll be looking at those things over the next few days and looking to build on the back of what he delivered today.
Joe, Tommy Donovan, his first game since January. How did you rate his performance?
Yeah, I thought Geordie and Reece were all really good, and I thought they collectively did a really good job. I thought Tommy was a bit unlucky. He got on the ball there at one stage and got penalised for having his hands down. But sometimes you get those because he did get onto the ball very quickly. So it was good to see him looking for the ball post tackle, and he's a dynamic player. Tommy, he has good acceleration, good ability to change up when he's carrying the ball, and at the same time, I think he's building a little bit more collision winning either side of the ball, whether it be in the tackle or getting into the breakdown and making sure he's moving big bodies so that we can accelerate our play a little bit. Because I thought that was probably one of the frustrating aspects for us today. We kind of felt that there was guys who were a bit hard to clean or were difficult to shift, and maybe if they can be moved quicker, either by the officials or by us, and really we have to take that responsibility. I do think we should have been able to accelerate the game a little bit more in that second half.
Joe, if Joey Carberry's out for a few weeks, does that change your thinking around how much game time Johnny Sexton gets in the next 3 innings?
Not really. I think we'll forge ahead with probably the plan we've mapped out already. And to be honest, we don't get back together until Wednesday after this game, so it gives us enough time to have a bit more clarity about Joey, and then you're right, we may adjust our plans. But we know we've got to hit the ground running. We know how big a game Scotland is in the first game of the World Cup, and so we can't really afford to have anyone underdone going into that game either.
We'll take one from the back there.
I want to ask a question on behalf of the Japanese media. Were you aware that there were many Japanese media here today watching the game? What's your perception of the Japanese team? And finally, how do you expect the game with Japan to unfold?
Japanese, Subarishi, they are very good, very strong. I've been really impressed with them in the Pacific Pacific Nations Cup so far, 3 victories from 3 performances against really good teams. The latest one against the USA, but I think they've got a variety to their game as well. Utamura is playing exceptionally well with guys like Matsushima and Fukuoka on the edges. They're incredibly dangerous, and then with Michael Leach leading their front line. I think they are going to be a really difficult task for us. We saw what they did in the last World Cup, and people are saying it was an upset last time against South Africa. Well, maybe it doesn't become an upset anymore. There's an expectation now, more than an upset, that they can compete with whoever they play. They'll have an 8-day turnaround when we play them. After playing Russia in their first game, we play Scotland 2 days later, so we'll be going to Shizuoka on the back of a 6-day turnaround. So that will probably complicate things just a little bit for us as well. So we're keeping an eye on the Japan team at the moment.
Joe, are you taking all 43 players that are fit on the training camp?
We'll just see how. I think we'll see how the players came through today, and we may not, but we're going to meet probably tomorrow morning after having had a look at the game this evening, and then make a decision. So if there are a couple that don't travel, I think we'll probably travel with about 40, but it could be 43, just depending on. We want to have good training numbers, and one of the problems I think is that as you kind of branch off with a smaller squad, just keeping those guys up to speed with what we're trying to develop, it becomes a little bit of a difficulty for us, especially if we pick up an injury. We're playing England, Wales and Wales, physically big teams, physically bigger than we are. Therefore, there tends to be a risk of attrition, and we don't want those other players to get too far away from us, because we want them up to speed if they do miss out on that 31 in the end. Because with 31 players, I think it's a very tight number that World Rugby limit you to. They talk about player welfare, but we have a 6-day turnaround into a 5-day turnaround and 31 players. That's very, very complicated, and all the teams, I'm not saying that that's tough for us. I think all the teams have tight turnarounds at stages.
Take last one, guys.
Johnny fit for the next game?
Yeah, to be honest, he could have played today. He trained fully. In the footage I've looked at from the week, and apparently he trained very, very hard yesterday morning, which is great. So I would anticipate that he will train fully in Portugal, and that he will be available for England.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers, thanks, Rich.